The interrogation chamber reeked of copper and ozone. Commander Vex of the Harkani Empire circled her latest prisoner, her talons clicking against the metal floor with each measured step. The human slumped in the restraint chair, his breathing shallow and labored. Blood seeped through the torn fabric of his uniform, painting dark stains across his chest. She had broken 3 of his ribs during the initial questioning. Standard procedure. The Harkani had conquered 47 star systems using these methods, and humans would be no different. They all broke eventually. The human's head lolled forward, consciousness flickering like a dying star. Vex grabbed his hair and yanked his face upward. His eyes, despite the pain clouding them, held something she found deeply unsettling. Not defiance exactly. Something else. Something patient. "Tell me where your fleet is hiding," Vex demanded, her translator rendering the words into the crude human tongue. The man's lips moved, producing sounds too quiet to hear. Vex leaned closer, her pointed ears straining. "Your interrogation technique needs work," he whispered, then smiled. Blood stained his teeth. Rage flared through Vex's chest. She released his hair and stepped back, her secondary arms flexing in agitation. The human military had proven frustratingly resilient during the invasion of Earth's outer colonies. They adapted too quickly, fought too fiercely, and refused to surrender even when logic demanded it. She had attributed this to ignorance of proper warfare, but this prisoner's calm demeanor suggested otherwise. "You think this is amusing?" Vex hissed. "I have broken warriors of species far stronger than yours. You are flesh and fragile bone. I could tear you apart with my bare hands." "Probably," the human agreed. His name, according to his identification chip, was James Rivera, a captain in the Earth Defense Corps, 43 standard years old. No genetic modifications, no combat implants, no enhanced physiology. Just baseline human stock, which made his composure all the more infuriating. Vex had interrogated 6 humans before Rivera. 3 had screamed until their voices gave out. 2 had begged for mercy. 1 had attempted escape and died when the automated defenses vaporized him. All had been predictable. Rivera was not. "Perhaps I have been too gentle," Vex said. She drew her sidearm and fired at Rivera's left shoulder. The plasma bolt seared through muscle and bone, leaving a smoking crater. The smell of burned flesh filled the chamber. Rivera's body went rigid. His jaw clenched. Sweat poured down his face. But he did not scream. Instead, he exhaled slowly through his nose, as if performing some mental exercise. "That had to hurt," Vex observed, genuinely curious now. "Your pain receptors are still functional. I verified that earlier." "Oh, it hurts like hell," Rivera gasped. "But screaming won't make it stop." Vex tilted her head, studying him. The Harkani felt pain differently than humans. Their nervous systems distributed sensation across their multiple brain lobes, diluting the experience. She had always assumed human fragility extended to their psychology as well. Perhaps that assumption required revision. "Your people are losing this war," Vex said. 17 colonies have fallen. Your homeworld is blockaded. Surrender is inevitable. Yet you resist. Why? Rivera met her eyes. "Because we're human. It's what we do." That is not an answer. That is a tautology, is it? Rivera's laugh turned into a wet cough. "Let me ask you something, Commander. How many species in your empire joined willingly?" Vex's tail lashed once. "None. Conquest is more efficient than negotiation." "And how many of those conquered species still rebel against you? Even after generations?" Vex did not answer. The truth was uncomfortable. 17 species across the empire still required military occupation. Insurgencies erupted constantly, draining resources and personnel. The Harkani High Command had accepted this as the cost of expansion. Humans aren't special, Rivera continued, his voice strengthening despite his injuries. We're just stubborn. We've been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, nuclear exchanges. We've been knocked down so many times that getting back up is encoded in our DNA. Poetic nonsense, Vex snapped. But doubt crept into her mind. The human military had indeed proven more troublesome than intelligence reports suggested. Their tactics were crude but effective. Their soldiers fought with a desperation that bordered on madness. She needed to break this human, not just for information, but to prove to herself that they were not exceptional, that they would crumble like all the others. Vex walked behind Rivera's chair. She placed her boot against his right side, where she had broken his ribs earlier. The bones ground together under the pressure, and she felt them shift beneath his skin. This will hurt considerably, she warned. Then she kicked. The force was calculated to drive the broken rib fragments deeper into Rivera's torso, possibly puncturing a lung. Vex had used this technique on other species with great success. The pain was extraordinary. She expected screaming. She expected begging. She expected the psychological collapse that accompanied such severe trauma. What she did not expect was laughter. Rivera's body shook with mirth, though each movement clearly caused him agony. Blood flecked his lips as he laughed, a sound caught between humor and hysteria. "What is wrong with you?" Vex demanded, stepping back in alarm. Rivera's laughter subsided into ragged breathing. When he spoke, his voice carried a note of genuine gratitude. "Thank you," he said. "You just popped it back into place." Vex stared at him, her 4 eyes wide with disbelief. "What?" "The rib you broke earlier," Rivera explained, taking a deeper breath than before. "It was sitting wrong, grinding every time I moved. When you kicked it, something shifted. Feels better now. Still broken, but better aligned." Vex's mind struggled to process this. She had delivered calculated torture, and the human was thanking her. This was not bravado or psychological warfare. His breathing had genuinely improved. She could see it in the rise and fall of his chest. "You are insane," she breathed. "Maybe," Rivera admitted. "Or maybe I'm just looking for silver linings in a really bad situation. It's a human thing. We make jokes at funerals. We laugh when we're terrified. We find hope in the darkest places because the alternative is giving up. And we're really, really bad at that." For the first time in her career, Vex felt something she had never experienced during an interrogation. Not fear, exactly. Something closer to awe. This human was genuinely broken. His body was failing. Death approached with every labored heartbeat. Yet his spirit remained intact, even finding absurd humor in his torture. "How?" Vex asked quietly. "How do you endure this?" Rivera smiled, and this time there was no blood on his teeth. Just weary determination. "I think about my daughter," he said. "She's 7 years old. Loves drawing pictures of spaceships. Every Sunday, we make pancakes together." His eyes grew distant. "I think about all the other parents out there, human and otherwise, who just want their kids to grow up safe. And I remember that every second I don't break is another second my fleet has to prepare. Another second closer to my people finding a way to win." "You have no chance," Vex said, but the certainty had left her voice. "Probably not," Rivera agreed. "But we only need a sliver of a chance. We're good at working with those." Vex turned away, her mind churning. She had broken countless prisoners, extracted endless intelligence, served her empire faithfully. But she had never encountered anything like this human. His body was meat and bone, fragile and failing. Yet something in him refused to break. And suddenly, for the first time, Vex understood why the conquest of humanity was failing that it was not their weapons or tactics. It was this infuriating, impossible resilience. This ability to find hope in torture, humor in agony, purpose in suffering. The Harkani could destroy human bodies easily, but their spirits? Those might be unconquerable. Vex deactivated the restraint chair. Rivera slumped forward, barely conscious. "What are you doing?" Her second-in-command asked over the comm system. Vex did not answer. She caught Rivera before he fell, supporting his weight with surprising gentleness. "I am sending you back," she said quietly. Rivera's eyes opened slightly. "Why?" Vex considered the question. The honest answer was complex, uncomfortable, and possibly treasonous. The simple answer was this: "Because you have taught me something, human, about the nature of strength." She paused. "And because I think you are right. We cannot win this war." She carried him to the transport chamber, where medical drones waited. As they stabilized his failing body, Rivera managed one final whisper. "Tell your leader something for me." "What?" "Humans make really good friends, but really terrible enemies. Offer us peace, not conquest." You might be surprised by the answer. Then consciousness left him. Vex stood alone in the transport chamber long after the medical shuttle departed. She thought about empires and conquered worlds, about rebellions that never ended, about the difference between breaking bodies and breaking spirits, and she thought about a 7-year-old girl who loved drawing spaceships, waiting for her father to come home. Perhaps Vex realized it was time for the Harkani to learn a new approach to the stars, one that involved fewer interrogation chambers and more Sunday pancakes. The human had thanked her for fixing his rib. Maybe, in his own strange way, he had fixed something in her too.